Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
What's up? This is Jake Ward of Watch Me Breathe, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Mr. Jake Ward of Watch Me Breathe. 2018 seen the release of Watch Me Breathe's debut LP, The Lighter Side of Darkness, and now Watch Me Breathe has released their follow-up album, The Strange Pull of What You Really Love, via the label group / INgrooves. We're going to be talking to Jake about all this. So, Jake, how's it going, man?
Going good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem whatsoever. So let's just jump right into this. This is Watch Me Breathe's follow-up album to 2018's LP, The Lighter Side of Darkness. I'm sorry, I should say, yeah, 2018.
Yeah, that's right.
This new album, does it push you out of your comfort zone when you were writing on this?
It's a good question. I kind of, the subject of the comfort zone is one that I think about a lot, because I try to find the balance between obviously challenging myself and growing and exploring new territory, but at the same time doing what I know I'm good at and what I know I really mean as an artist. Like, I think, you know, there's a level to which I think sometimes artists push themselves out of their comfort zone so deliberately and thoroughly that it kind of can backfire. So to me, it's a balancing. But this album was definitely like that.
What's impressed or excited you the most, Jake, about making the new album, The Strange Pull of What You Really Love? If anything, man, is there anything that sticks out for you about this?
Honestly, I think, hopefully without sounding too conceited, I think I'm just mostly surprised by how well it's done. I mean, if you had told me a year or so ago when we released the first album that the next album would get us over 4,000 Spotify followers, I would think, no way. Like, we're just starting out. We've only been doing this for a year or so. Like, and now it's been 2 years, but it's like that I think the reaction to it and the feedback has been, it's certainly in just terms of surprising and exceeding my expectations, that has definitely been, that sticks out to me.
So basically then the digital world has helped you guys out being a young band like this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it really can help anybody, but yeah, I've always, and I'm sure this has to do with the generation that I am part of, but I've just had a very digital oriented approach to everything, and that includes creating the music too. So yeah, I mean, we're very much a digital domain band, and I think that has enabled what we've been able to do so far. So it's awesome.
Was there anything you wanted to add differently that you didn't get to add to the previous album onto the new album right now?
Well, there's a song on this new album called Don't Fade Away that is actually a really old song. I think I had written that song before most of the songs that are on the first album, actually. And it was one of those songs that just was kind of bugging me forever, because I knew there was something there, and I just couldn't get the arrangement to sound right. I couldn't get the lyrics. I messed around with some different lyrical themes because I do the music first and then I'll always write the lyrics on top. And so that was a song that had been in the works for literally years before that finally made it onto this new album. And I'm really glad it did. I'm super stoked on how that one came out.
But looking back at it now, are you glad it happened this long? Because I know some people get frustrated and they just throw it down. But was that a song that, you had that niche for, that there was something special about it?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that it was a good one. And I think, while it was still in sort of the incubation phase, I was like frustrated by it because, you have that voice in your head that's saying, maybe this is never like that this song has potential and yet it just is not coming together. So that can obviously be frustrating. But I mean, the way it turned out, couldn't be happier with, and I recognize that I think it just needed that much time, to get there. So I had no complaints ultimately.
How long did it take to write and complete the album?
It's a good question. I really have no idea. I mean, I have so many songs that I forget when. Basically, I have a huge folder on my studio computer of demos and ideas, stuff that I'm just throwing together all the time. And then I, will periodically go into that folder and look at, okay, there are maybe 8 songs now that I see that look like, or I should say sound like they could go together on an album, and I piece it together from that bird's eye view. So it's hard to say. I mean, I think most of the songs were written pretty much since we finished the last album. So, early 2018 until release, but there could be ones that are older than that.
Wow.
I would have to look.
But that's cool when you go back and you look at stuff like that to see what state of mind you're in at that time when that song was written.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. I also pick stuff that because I try as much as I can to just write honestly and write from the heart. And what happens or seems to happen is that the music kind of changes as I do, and that includes stuff like how I produce it and how I play the instruments and how I add parts and how I sort of visualize the whole recording. So I may go back and pick up a really old idea, but be in a place in life or a place in my career as an artist where now that idea seems to work really well with just how I'm feeling as a producer, and I can turn it into something that it wouldn't have been. I mean, Don't Fade Away is a good example, but I think there are probably others like that.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this album? I know it must change every time you listen to it. I know you're very close to these songs, but do you have any that stick out for you, man?
I think my favorite song is Pain. I'm not sure why. I just think there's something. I try to look at the music as objectively as I can in certain contexts, like basically to try and understand how it's going to look to somebody that would be a fan, and I imagine myself as, a hypothetical fan of my own music. Like if it was somebody else that was making it, would I like it? Would I want to buy it? I make that something that's a priority, that it passes that test. Yeah, I definitely feel like Pain is the song that it sticks out to me. Like it's the most melodically interesting, and there's something about it that's very unusual, and I can listen to it many times and not get sick of it.
Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs? Which one would be the first single or video you wanted to release or push first for the album? Or did you have to have outside help to decide on this?
Well, I did. It's something I definitely talked with my manager, Dennis, about, because I do feel like still that, I mean, at the time there were definitely several songs that could work as singles, and it basically came down to what order should it be in. And but I mean, we definitely made a clear decision, and I think it was the right decision to lead with Feel All Right, and then do Don't Think I Haven't Thought About It after that as a follow-up. And the main reason we decided that, at least my understanding, and my reasoning for it, was that Feel All Right was a little more musically unusual. So it's this idea of like the first song is just immediately ear catching. Everybody goes, hey, what's that? And then second single, Don't Think I Haven't Thought About It, is maybe less of an obviously like innovative song, but is just a more like traditionally great pop song, I think. And I mean, I honestly think that's probably the best song I've ever written. And so I guess the idea was just once you've got people's attention, then you can give them the really like the really good one that they'll get a lot out of. Yeah.
What do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear while listening to any of Watch Me Breathe music in general?
Good question. I think the message that I find myself wanting to give most in just the inspiration behind doing all of this is to just be yourself. I have this weird kind of alienation with my generation and kind of my society. And I think there are a lot of questions about our society and our world that we should be asking that we're not asking. And I want to encourage people to ask those questions and to get excited about discovering how free they really are and how open the world is to whatever you want it to be. I think we get boxed in too much. And so I feel like what's been my muse is the idea of spreading the message to people that you really don't have to. You don't have to fit in. You don't have to be normal. You can just be yourself, and oftentimes that's much better.
And there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see nobody succeed. They want to bring you down. They don't want you to have that I wouldn't say spotlight, but they don't want you to have anything better than them. And for those who don't listen to them and just like you said, be yourself and do what you do, that takes guts in today's world.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be really hard. I think I've had myself have just had to do a lot of sort of restructuring how I think about negative people. I think there's once you realize that people hating what you're doing or getting angry at you is oftentimes actually a sign that you're doing something really cool, it can really change things. It doesn't make it nice, right? It's not like it's a fun experience to have somebody super mad at you or like, telling you you're terrible. But I think realizing that they actually indicate the exact opposite most of the time is a really helpful lesson, and it's helped me a lot. So, yeah.
Who produced this album for you guys?
I did. I work as a record producer professionally, so I just have a studio of my own that I can just go into whenever I want and just do everything.
So do you like having the freedom to do this, Jake, whenever you want to, and there's no pressure on the guys to come in and do their stuff, or do they like Jake better as just a band member and not producer?
Oh, no, I think definitely this way is the way that I'd love to do it the best. I mean, it's taken me years of refinement to get to the point where my production skills are enough that I can produce stuff that I'm really happy with. But, I mean, to be able to do it, on my own schedule and not be dependent on anybody else, creatively, financially, time-wise, like it's incredibly freeing, and I feel like I'm making the best music I've ever made in my life.
Who did the artwork or cover photo for the album?
That's a funny story, actually. So it's the main, I guess the best way to explain it is it's something I made, but I designed it around something that my mother drew with a crayon. You know how like at some restaurants they have paper covers on the table rather than cloth? Yeah. And they give you like, crayons, and it's usually for kids, right? But my mom's a really, really good graphic designer and also an oil pastel artist, and will often like, kind of absentmindedly doodle stuff when we're out to dinner, or like, and she just drew these lips and then drew a nose, connected like they would be a complete face, but then instead of drawing the rest of the face, she just kind of drew this circle around it, sort of as if to say like, this is complete, right? Like I'm not going to draw anymore. Right. And I sort of just thought that was interesting, which is like this, and it was this amazing thing. It looked like, a super professional drawing, and yet she just sort of abandoned it halfway through. And so I just took a picture of it because I felt weird, like that, the people at the restaurant are just going to crumple this up and throw it away, right? And I just designed the album cover around it and added some stuff and little pieces from like the single covers, like there's the moon and there's handprints and stuff, and kind of trying to make it look like a complete picture. And I mean, I think if you look at the album cover, knowing that, you can probably pretty clearly see where the actual drawing is versus where my sort of very DIY additions are. But I really like how it came out. I mean, I was kind of surprised that it worked so well, because that's definitely not my forte at all.
Do you see this band still musically growing from where it started, or has it just been more of a personal growth for each of you involved?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, I would say both. For me, the musical growth really does correspond with the personal growth, and it's something that I find really fulfilling about just saying, screw it, I don't care what people think about the music. I'm just going to do it the way that I like it, as if I was the only person that was ever going to listen to it. And what happens is that it seems to be that it just grows with me in this weirdly corresponding way. But yeah, I mean, it's also great experience for Ryan, our bassist, and Carl, the drummer, who's my younger brother. We've gotten to play some really fun shows, talk to some cool people, and I mean, and it's only growing. So I anticipate that more and more of that stuff will happen. And I mean, I can't think of two other dudes I'd like more, or that I would rather have those experiences with. So yeah, I mean, we're all growing and we're all having a great time.
In your own opinion, what does Watch Me Breathe bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, if anything? I know no one's reinventing the wheel, but what are you guys adding to that wheel? Really
good question. I would say that it's honestly very cliche to say, but I think I've got my own genre because there is this very weird mix that's happening. And this is just from me writing with the intention of nobody else necessarily listening to it, and just being totally honest with myself about what I want to do. And it's this really interesting amalgamation of like the 2000s, emo pop rock stuff that I grew up listening to, and other stuff like Peter Gabriel and Sting and Phil Collins and Imogen Heap and all this more kind of indie or worldly, unusual stuff that just has spoken to me over the years and inspired me. And I don't know anything that sounds like it. I'm calling it progressive pop rock, but that a name is probably not enough. I think we have a sound and a style that nobody's done before.
What can fans expect at a show from Watch Me Breathe who have not got to see you guys live as of yet?
You can expect to see the three of us, and you can expect to see us playing the songs. And from what I hear, we sound pretty good.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, Jake, that said, yeah, that's what I want to do?
I'm not really sure. I think I've had the inclination for as long as I can remember. So there was never a point where music was like a new thing that I was discovering. It was just always there, and I was always trying to play it. But I think a pivotal moment for sure was when I was like 12 or 13, and I discovered the Goo Goo Dolls, and discovered specifically their song Black Balloon. And I fell in love with that song. I thought it was the most amazing thing. It spoke to me so deeply. And I remember having this image in my mind of a music video for it. I was picturing like it would be black and white. It would look kind of like the 1950s. There'd be women with black lipstick, like, swimming around in a pool. And like it just had this very watery, retro kind of sad vibe. And it kind of freaked me out when I actually found the music video a while later and saw that that's almost exactly what it was. And that taught me a really big lesson, which is like that there's something really spooky going on here. That there's a language that's being spoken that people can understand in this way that seems almost impossible. So that excited me enough that it made me think I really want to try to do this like for real and be the best musician that I can possibly be, because I think there's something there.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Watch Me Breathe gets support from, or your music even gets played in, possibly? Anything that stands out?
Yeah, actually. For a long time, and this isn't the case anymore, but for a long time, Brazil was our top country on Spotify. And I think some of that has to do with playlists that we were able to get on. Like I think there was at least one that was curated by a Brazilian woman that I got in contact with, who was super nice and was like super generous and added a bunch of songs and was like super supportive. So that could be part of it. But I mean, it also could just be, for whatever reason, there's people in that particular country that heard it and liked it and have shared it with their friends. And I've always gotten a kick out of that. I thought that was super cool. I'd love to travel there sometime too. I've never been, but yeah, that's one.
Is there a band on the bucket list for you that you would like to tour with, or maybe do an old school album split with, possibly?
Ooh, man. Well, there are a lot, unfortunately. I think the first one that comes to mind is the 1975, only because I get this sense that Maddie, the singer and songwriter in that band, and I would be like really good friends. I just get this impression from what I've seen, like with interviews and just listening to the stuff he writes too, and the choices he makes melodically. I think he's writing from a similar place that I am, but there's no way to really know that without. I mean, even if you knew the person, you can't really know that for sure. So I think I've always felt that they would be a cool band to meet and to try to collaborate with, but you really don't know. And there are so many amazing musicians locally where I live that I do know that I get to work with. I'm not starved for collaboration by any means.
What about local support? How much local support does Watch Me Breathe get?
Oh, it's a fair amount. I think, it seems to be growing too. We haven't played a huge number of shows. I've definitely been uncharacteristically conservative about booking shows and being careful about, picking ones that I know I can bring a good crowd out to and that really makes sense to do. But definitely have a solid community of musicians out here that are friends and people that are, following us and tracking us on bands in town and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we played small clubs and are working our way up. We're going to play a big festival this weekend, actually. It's called just Santa Cruz Music Festival that gets a bunch of people every year, has some name brand acts. So that'll be fun.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up the strange pull of what you really love via the label group and INgrooves. You want to get out and pick this up. So, Jake, how could folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, these 2 albums, plus tour dates, tickets, all that good stuff? How can they do that?
I would say the best place to go is just watchmebreathe.com. You can find everything from there. Social media, streaming. We've got merch on there. So that's the best place to start.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Sure. All right. What's up? This is Jake Ward of Watch Me Breathe, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link. Everything that we do here on BODS Mayhem Hour is going up on our YouTube page. It's vital that you go and subscribe to that. Plus, check out the podcast link as well. Also, check out Watch Me Breathe. You will not be disappointed. Pick up their new album. Pick up their old album, too, The Lighter Side of Darkness. That's also the old album. Pick that up and give this band a chance. So, Jake, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck from here on out.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
And I'd just like to conclude here that we lost a great guy from Eastern Kentucky who was doing a radio show called Kill Your Radio. We lost Patrick Smith at Exit 111 Festival when he collapsed. So I hope you're playing some music up in heaven, man, and it's not going to be the same here without you. So play one loud and proud for Patrick. Keep him in your prayers and his family. And one day we'll meet up again and talk some more good music, Pat. So thanks, Jake. I appreciate you being on BODS Mayhem Hour.
Yeah, thank you, man.
listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.